Thursday, March 16th at 5:30. Could we take roll, Katie?
Sure. Karen Mao. Here. Lainey Rosca.
Here.
Tim O'Connor.
Here.
Kelly Greavy.
Here.
John Beach.
Here.
And Karen Peltola, absent. Liz Lasky, absent, excused.
Okay, I'm going to ask for an approval of the agenda.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Tim, second by
Lainey.
Laney. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion approved. Approval of minutes from our February 16th meeting.
I already read it, so I'll move to approve.
Okay. Motion made by Karen,
I wasn't there, so I can't do anything.
Second.
second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Any public comments on the agenda items? Okay. And correspondence. I did have correspondence from Jen Teller. She wrote a letter to Morton's for the donation and completion of off-street parking for 20 cars. And she also wrote a letter to the Marquette Rail Line for a donation of the Caterpillar crawl tube, another piece of playground equipment. I really want to thank Jen because she's been active in asking for donations. She's been working hard and her passion is there. Okay, on to the committee reports. Tim and Laney.
What one are we on?
Well,
Oh, yeah, well,
Reports.
Laney was,
I was there, along with Katie and a couple others.
And Mickey.
And we had a couple RFPs. Anyways, I think it's going recommended to that we could. For Fifth Avenue and First Street. It was not much of a selection, but I'm glad we had two candidates. Unfortunately, the individual who used First Street last year got his RFP in too late. So we couldn't include him, unfortunately. So, and I'm not sure when it went to the,
It goes to city council next Tuesday
yeah.
for both contracts.
So, and they were, I think one was 2,000 and one was
Does city council then choose who's going to get the contract?
Yeah, we just make a recommendation, and they do the contracts.
There was one submittal for each,
Yeah.
and I'm not part of the committee, but I believe the committee recommended awarding contracts to each of those.
Yes. Guess I wasn't clear.
What's that?
Thanks for translating.
I thought there were a whole bunch of them for First Street.
5 altogether, but only 2 submitted.
Right. There were more inquiries than we got RFP results.
And the chamber received another one today,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Oh, geez.
so.
I think our position was, even though they could accept it, we're kind of like the people that were on time, were on time. You know, it's like, how can you?
And I understand they were sent an email as well with the RFP, so it wasn't just a notice in the paper. So,
The-
people who inquired.
Mr. Bradford gives updates at our weekly staff meetings, and he had 4 different interested people before the RFP went out. So when that was issued, it was sent directly to those 4, and then it was also publicly advertised.
How long did the meeting last, Laney? Curious.
No, not even a half hour,
Oh,
probably.
really?
Okay, on to Morton Park. Jeff, Liz, and I met with Sinclair. We made out the order and are awaiting approval from City Council.
Yeah, so I put together a council agenda item for next Tuesday also. It includes a total of $135,000 of parks equipment purchases. So it includes benches and trash receptacles for the disc golf. It included all the items, all the physical items at First Street, Morton Park, Duffy Park. It also included 6 benches on the Riverwalk that had been washed away, and with the previous boardwalk, and when we put the new sidewalk in, we poured 6 new pads. So there's already a couple of those benches that were previously had memorials on them. Excuse me. And then we have Sean Middleton, the city engineer's family. He's purchasing memorials for some. And then the Swiderski family has expressed interest. And I think there might be 1 or 2 left, but I have to make sure I sort all that out because they may want to do more than one. So, and then the trash receptacles funded by the refuse fund will also be part of that. So it's a pretty big package.
And then is it still going to be, how many weeks did they say? 12 to 16?
He hasn't told me an exact time on that, but one thing that'll be really important is if council approves all these purchases Tuesday night, we have to pick out the colors of each of the play structures. So I don't know if Kelly and Liz want to continue with that, or there's others, but we need to select those colors, and as soon as we do that, then I can officially sign the documents and get Sinclair ordered. And then I'll just keep you abreast on when we expect to receive delivery. My guess is we'll receive different portions at a time. They're not all sourced from the same place, but some things we'll be able to do installs when they come, like trash cans, basketball hoops, stuff like that. And then for the larger play structures, then our plan is to have Sinclair send a representative up and then do a community build. So a combination of community volunteers and then our DPW staff under their guidance will get everything assembled and put together. So.
And I read it's not going to be a community build now?
It is going to be a community build.
I thought he wrote on there that so we could get some sort of a discount or something. It's not going to be a community build.
No, I think you misread it, because what I just said is that they're going to provide, instead of them doing a build, they're going to provide supervision for us to be able to build. So that's how we did the last, the new Rocket Park down at First Street, and that went really well. And then the cabanas that are at Fifth Avenue, our staff did the installation on those, and we had them kind of supervise us and guide us, so I think we'll be okay.
What about the pad for the basketball?
We'll pour that in-house.
Oh, okay.
My staff will do that.
Oh, okay.
At some point, can we power wash what's already there?
Yeah,
So it all,
yeah. Yeah, we'll be running, into Morton, we'll be running a water line in there this spring too.
okay. Is there going to be a water fountain then or not?
There is, the one that Sinclair quoted us was just, they don't have any good water fountains, and the one they do is just ridiculously expensive. So I'll work with Mickey and we'll pick something that is kind of complimentary, and we'll have that installed.
Give them a dog.
No, definitely, that would be
Yes.
top priority, Beastie schedule.
Most of them now come, like 4 parks come with a upper, and then there's a lower one, so yeah.
Good. I thought I was being difficult for a dog
Oh,
fountain.
no.
Okay, the next thing are the bylaws. Karen?
Yes, I am going to the city council meeting on Tuesday for the bylaws, and I hope someone will come with me, because I would love anybody to come along as backup.
Karen, I forgot to ask,
Yeah.
did you confirm that with Bill, that he's got that on the
Yes.
agenda? Okay.
Well, I believe it went through Liz, through either Bill or Jimmy.
Because I know the city manager and city attorney were working on it. I didn't know for sure whether it had been on this agenda.
But I was told by Liz, and I believe it was either Jermaine or Bill that told her it was.
Okay.
I'll double check, but
So text me.
text you?
Text you if it is indeed.
Okay.
Correct date on that.
If for some reason, because I just checked before the meeting started, the agenda's not in our Dropbox yet. So as soon as I see that, if it's not on there, I'll let you know, but otherwise assume.
They said it would come out the Friday before the meeting when the agenda.
Right,
was
but
on
usually
the website.
it's a big agenda this week. So I know Kelly was
Okay.
working all through it today. So,
And I haven't heard anything. I didn't know whether to expect feedback or an email or something from the city attorney or Bill, like, hey, you can't do that, or I hope it's a positive sign that I haven't heard anything yet.
I haven't been a part of it, so I'm not sure.
So, yeah, I wanted to inquire whether they want me to present something or just be present to answer questions, or if they've got it, they're just gonna vote on it, or I'm not really sure what the process is.
Yeah, typically, I think it's good if you're there to answer questions and give the perspective of the commission. Usually there's not a lot of questions unless there's a big drastic change. And,
There are a lot of changes, you saw it.
yeah, and
There's a lot of changes.
often George will go through what the changes are, so.
Okay.
Okay. Next up is the disc golf grand opening. Tim?
Tom, need your help. So we talked with Jeff about the three of us trying to get together to plan this. I mean, you want to be a part of that, correct?
100%, yes.
We'd love you to be a part of that.
Thank you.
So, need to start working on it. We're thinking about t-shirts, I mean, whole sponsors, I mean, prizes.
Yeah.
I contacted the Manistee Advocate. I haven't heard back from them yet.
I got a couple contacts we can get a hold of them. I talked to Grip and Rip. They are out of Ludington. They're the disc golf sellers within the area. They've been working with the community down there just amazingly. And I invited them up to maybe sell discs at our opening as well.
Okay.
The Manistee Disc Golf Club, which is that organic club that started based on us redoing Red Smearnick Park and the new park, I invited them as well, so they're going to bring their members. And I have been watching the meeting, so I've been keeping up with your direction. I've also emailed two companies, Innova, which is the ones that sold us the baskets, and I'm going to see if they can't supply maybe about 100 free discs for kids. Usually like a cheap putter is all you need, and they're usually like $2-3. And they're really good with donating to.
Can we put a logo on those?
What's that?
Can we put a logo, you think?
That might be a little much to ask. We'd probably have to pay for something like that.
Okay.
So Innova is the one that sold us the baskets, and I believe they're out of South Carolina. But then there's another Michigan company called MVP, and they've really taken off over the past couple of years, and they're really getting involved with communities and stuff like that. So I also wrote them. They may be the one that might actually put a logo on it.
Okay.
But I don't want to push it too much with anybody. If we're asking for like 100 discs, we'll take it as that. But Kayleen gets a lot of Kayleen is the owner of Grip and Rip in Ludington, and she gets a lot of logos put on discs for tournaments. So I can work with her and maybe see if we can't just get some blank discs and then somehow get like a Manistee Parks Commission or something on those discs as a commemorative logo.
We're like 2 months away.
Yep,
You know?
100%.
Yeah, so I tried to get a hold of you yesterday, because I'm like, oh, we need to start working on something. Advertising, getting things out, figuring if we need maybe additional funds to make it really well. I mean, we doing a tournament, or is it just a day of fun where people are just going out to do it? I mean, do you have any suggestions on how we should kick it off?
I think, well, it's been open since, when did it kind of officially go, in September?
I was going to say September, October.
It's been going gangbusters without a lot of publicity or anything. So I don't think it's going to be a big issue getting people there. I think everyone is gung-ho for this. I say we do the marketing, the Facebook, we
Right.
do the Manistee News Advocate. I say we leave an actual tournament till later. Get our feet in the ground, let people know what's going on, that this is a family course, which I think people are starting to get. And then later on, we can start working with the different clubs in the area and maybe do a tournament. But maybe this first one is we invite families down, we invite kids down. What's really amazing is older people are actually using it way more than I expected. I mean, like 70s, 80s. They're walking around.
I thought you were talking about my age.
I was kind of looking at you directly.
I was going to ask you, what does that mean, older age group?
Was there Tim, was there a distinction? I didn't understand the difference there.
I'm a little confused.
What about,
Goes with the age. H.
We'll talk slow, Tim.
With your connections with the Armory Youth, could you reach out to them and maybe get some of the kids that play there?
Yeah,
Might be-
100%.
Might be introduced to
The
it,
Army's
or?
going through a weird shift right now, but there are still a couple people there that we could talk to. I actually foresee the Armory course and the city course just being hand in hand.
Yeah.
You know, like in the future, if we do a tournament, the big tournaments around here are kind of a pro to amateur kind of thing, and they're big courses. So this would be a true, what's called a pitch and putt, short distance, which has more children involved, and it would be super unique for not only West Michigan, but for the nation as well. So if we did something like that, we'd definitely get the Armory involved.
So this course would be a good course for tournaments if we did something like that. a year.
100%. It would be very, very unique, like I said, not only in West Michigan, but nationally as
Yeah.
well. Because all the courses that are being built now are very geared towards people that have been playing. This is one of the first ones that literally is, anyone can play that has no knowledge of it and still have fun. So I think the commission and Jeff and his crew have done the right thing by putting this in, without a doubt.
If there's anything you need on my part, just to put it all together, I mean, I think that if you do a good job getting a hold of Manistee Advocate, if they can, somehow we can start coordinating that and publicizing it and promoting it and figuring out what we need to do to bring to it, you know, ribbon cutting, you know, probably.
I think I talked to Kelly about a week and a half ago, right? And then Jeff gave me a call this past week, and Jeff and I kind of went over, you know, the last things we need to do. They put the bridge in today, and it's amazing. If you haven't walked back there, there's a sand gully, and people are having to go around it. And Jeff and his crew had this great idea about renovating an old piece of girder system and made a wooden bridge. It's phenomenal. Jeff and I talked about what else needs to go in, and I think the thing that we need to work on, and I'll work on with the commission as well, is get a sign that kind of says, you know, this was created by such and such, you know, the Parks Commission, the council. My personal feeling is it doesn't really need anyone's names on it because we all kind of come and go, but the commission is an entity.
Right.
Kind of say, hey, thank you to, you know, DPW, thank you to Parks Commission.
Well, I think that'd be kind of nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm working on the wording on that, and then I'll pass that on to Jeff, and you guys can take a look at it. And then we were thinking of A More Signs kind of doing the final product. But with that too, I kind of would like maybe a smaller version of that at Red Semirnic Park as well. Just list out basic rules, you know, and this was brought to you by Sutton's.
You know somebody that does that, right? That can put that together for us? I mean, what do you think the cost or something like that would be?
I personally designed the actual T signs. Design is the easy part. It's somebody to manufacture it, and that can range from, I don't know, if we had like a park sign, maybe like, you know, this wide, this tall.
It's in our project budget
Yeah.
for a project sign, yeah.
Yeah, but they can, depending on the material you use, it can range from 500 to 2,000. But Jeff's really up to knowledge on
So
that stuff.
really, the only thing that's left on this is we set the bridge structure, we have to put some approach ramps to it, and then our staff bought upright posts, and then we ordered a heavy 1.5-inch rope to kind of give it that nautical feel that will kind of drape in between. Tom's come up with 6 locations that would be really cool for benches. So we've added the same type of benches that were selected for the other parks as part of this, and we had budgeted that. And then a couple refuse cans, and then kind of the sign, the course sign. And then after that, and then it's just normal maintenance of trimming back branches and putting
Mulching
wood chips on the,
every couple of years, maybe.
yeah, around the tees and stuff, or around the goals.
It'd be fun before we do this to get our commission out there, you know, and walk,
Yeah.
either play the course or walk the course. I think that would be kind of cool.
Well, and like he said, it's a pitch and putt course, so it is perfect for, like, I've never played, and I would love to go out with a group of people and
We should
laugh
do
at
that.
me, you know?
Yeah. We should set a date.
That'd be a fun evening.
Yeah, the Parks Commission, Tom, the whole group, that'd be kind of a fun time. Have a little bit of a picnic afterwards
Sure.
or something. So-
And the great thing about that too is everything we've cleaned out on the backside of that dog park up to those dunes. You actually see people just walking it, not even playing, but they realize there's something happening, like paths and everything. So it's gone even beyond just a disc golf course. It's beyond opening up that whole First Street Beach area just to people exploring. So.
What is that course rated in terms of difficulty?
between a 1 and a 10, I would put it at a 1 or a 2. Yeah, with 10 being like a pro course, that's something that I would play on a weekend tournament. This literally is one of the most simple, easiest courses that you could possibly play.
How does it differ from Shamaric Park then?
Samaric Park, so when they put it in, they kind of designed 5 holes in one city block, but they weaved them through trees. So on average, a typical disc golf course hole would be between like 250 and 400 feet. And at Samaric Park, there are actually a couple holes that go about 380, like across that whole block. So if I'm going to practice for a tournament as a professional disc golfer, I'll go to Samaric Park and actually practice because it kind of exemplifies what a true disc golf course is. Whereas something like what we've created is anyone can use. I can even use it to practice like short distance, but a kid can go up and have fun with it, or an elderly person can just take a disc and just throw it at the basket. It's a full use course.
So Shamaric is more difficult now.
Yes. If we were going to have an outing as a commission, Red Samaric Park might turn you off to disc golf. It's difficult. You'll say some words you're normally not used to saying, or maybe Tim says those words. But that is more like a true miniature pro disc golf course, yeah. Yeah.
And then the Armory.
And the Armory is kind of on the same vibe as what we built at the beach, maybe just a tad stronger. So between a 1 and a 10, ours is a 1 and 2, the Armory might be a 3. But they are still part of that pitch and putt movement that's kind of happening right now to get kids involved. So. Yep. Yeah, when they brought me in, that was one of my stipulations, was because they wanted me to build that course for them. And I said I would help them do that as long as it was available to the public. And Amy and I believe Jim Hansen were the ones that said, yeah, this is completely open to the public as well. So if you go online and search disc golf courses, that one comes right up with ours at First Street Beach.
I just want to say thanks, Tom, on behalf of the commission for all your work on that. It's awesome. I mean, to see the dream come true.
Yeah.
You know, the realization from the very beginning, from the phases of when we just talked about it to where it is now, that actually worked really fast. Compared to how most projects work, this one went pretty quick. You know, with the help of the DPW and the cooperative attitude of everybody is pretty awesome. So I look forward. So we'll get a group outing together, and then hopefully you can lead us and kind of give us the old the in and outs of that, and then we'll have a picnic afterwards. I think would be fun. So,
Is there anywhere local that you can buy discs? Like, does Dunham's have them, or anybody?
Carries them. Meyer, I was going to say Myers. Meyer carries them. I know it's a Michigan.
Scottsville.
Scottsville, yes. Meyer, Dunham's. A lot of people get them online nowadays. It's so easy to buy discs online. Like the two guys I talked to, I think it was that really nice day last week, and they were in their 70s, and they each had one disc, and I was like, hey, you know, welcome to the course. And they said, yeah, we saw this course. We just went on Amazon and bought 2 cheap discs. And that's all you need. You don't even need to get the right disc. Right. They're just having fun. Grip and Rip is the most local true disc golf shop, and they are in the old Giant Way Plaza in Ludington.
Okay.
And that, like I said, they've been involved with getting the Ludington youth involved, because Ludington kind of started as a pro-centric kind of focus, but now they're going backwards and getting the kids involved, where we started from the kid level and the family level. So Grip and Rip really wanted to be involved with this.
Have we come up with a logo for that lighthouse park for the disc golf?
I don't think we came up with a logo, but when Jeff and I were doing the T signs, Jeff kind of gave me carte blanche to create these. Okay. And so I kind of came up with this wave design. Mm-hmm. But I went with what the DPW and the Parks Commission had set aside, where north of the city, all up there is red, and everything south is blue. So the signs still look the same, but they're just different colors. And within those signs, there's like this wave that kind of says, Manistee.
I think you emailed us a spec of it.
I did, and then Jeff showed it, and it was like
Yeah.
3 feet wide or something.
Yeah.
Well, the reason I'm asking is I'd like to come up with some T-shirts, for the kickoff.
Yeah.
So I already got someone who's willing to donate to that.
I can send you the template, and on the template, you'll actually see it says Disc Golf Manistee as kind of an arch on the signs, and then there's a wave. If you just incorporate those 2 things in whatever logo they want.
Can you do that?
100%.
I'm sure it's on my email, but does the city shirts, imprints, screen printing? What's the name of that company?
No, Sports Inc.
Sports Inc. does that?
That's what I meant, that's what I meant.
Okay.
Didn't
I'm
there
gonna-
used to be Third Coast in town?
There was one downtown where Spicer's at. Yeah.
Okay.
I meant.
So they have the city logo already probably
Yep.
ready to go. So I just, with your help, maybe collaboration and come up with some really kind of cool commemorative T-shirt, for
Yeah.
a limited amount, of course. But
Yeah.
I'm going to actually be in town tomorrow, so I'm actually going to go out there and talk to them. See what a good T-shirt would cost us and kind of go from there. So, and then I don't know if you know our new logo. Was it
That's actually
Comfort the Lake, Stay for the Parks
not complete.
kind of thing?
I haven't seen that yet, no.
Yeah, so maybe incorporate something like that in it.
Yeah, and I was thinking maybe the first 100 kids under the age of 16 get a free T-shirt and a disc or something like that.
Yeah, if you would know like how many sizes I would need of certain age groups, that would be the
Yep.
thing.
This is the bridge that we set. So we're gonna put, approaches to that and then uprights.
Nice.
And they'll have the rope streaming through it. But, oops,
Like that too?
did you see it? So like, this is the hole, that's the bridge to come across the ravine. I'm standing on the T-pad, but that's the.
Is this the logo?
Yeah,
that
that's kind of the wave
Tom's
logo that he was referring to,
Okay.
actually. And we've got the visual files on that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever you can send me. Then I'll email you what her thoughts are. But 2 months away, that's not a lot for them to get
Right.
done and ordered.
Right.
So
And Mickey actually was showing me the letter that Jen Teller, right? She had some suggestions for the course, and they're very valid suggestions. And I think Jeff and I had talked about this, where the course is kind of a evolution and progress. And the great thing is, like, maybe we don't want a basket where that basket is, because it hinders something. We can always move things. So if anyone ever comes to you, someone in the public says, hey, that basket's too high, we need stairs. These are things we can evolve. And that's the great thing about having a small course like this, is we can evolve it as well.
So you'll contact the Manistee advocate so we can people doing it?
Yep.
We can, okay, so trust you got all that. Just let me know what they say.
They're pretty good. You just have to bug them a little bit, but
Yeah, I've called twice. And actually I left voicemail and I've also emailed.
I told them not to call you.
Probably, I figured that Tom is involved in this.
Oh, yeah.
So just to plant a seed, when the Parks Commission started talking about creating a course, and I identified a few places of public property, and then Tom and I don't remember the other gentleman's name, but we walked. Jim. We went and visited each site, and we chose First Street, obviously, but don't forget that we've got a non-motorized park out on M55, that there's a tremendous amount of land, and someday if we wanted to build bigger courses or tougher courses, or there's a great opportunity out there. And all it really would take is laying it out, cutting some paths, a little bit of forestry work, installing the pads. I mean, we're pretty good at it now. So I think could be a big future as long, if we see this being a success.
Well, it'd be nice to see Manistee be a destination for that.
Yeah.
Like Ludington is, right?
What's funny is one of the gentlemen that I worked with in Ludington to get those courses going, like in the 2000s, 2010, he ended up moving to Manistee. He's a business owner in Ludington, and he bought property, I can't remember the name of the road, Lukey Road. It's just south of here, just south of the lake. But he's got like 40 acres, and he's been building a private disc golf course that he is opening up this spring. That's actually a pro course. It's a pay-to-play. You pay $10 and you get to play it. So even though it's a private course, it starts bringing that conglomerate of disc golf to Manistee. And I've seen people talking about that online already. So when they come here, not only will they have that pro course to play, but they can bring their kids and play our courses as well. So we are kind of Ludington's kind of losing traction a little bit. They're kind of going through a political phase with their disc golf community, where we're coming in from the ground level with family and kids. So we can take this to a whole nother level.
Yeah.
At one time, and I was part of the board down there, we were taking care of 8 courses.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, they started off in the 90s with a bunch of gentlemen just starting disc golf, and they were able to go into county parks that weren't being used and create courses. And like I said, when they started from an adult level, and that's how they built. And so like we're starting from the ground level of family and kids and kind of working our way up, which I think is the right way, but they also never had a chance to do that. But they've also overextended themselves by taking care of 8 courses, not through the city, but as just pure volunteers. So us working with the DPW and Jeff and Mickey and Brandon, it's very rare, but it's been super rewarding. And just to see the passion on both sides here come together.
Awesome.
Yep.
Forward to working with you.
Thank you guys once again. We did good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Okay, next up is the library story hour.
So I passed around a calendar hoping people will commit to one of the 4 dates. They're looking for just the park name and who you are so they can put it on their calendar for publishing. So that's it. I'll kind of remind you it's coming up, and if something happens where you can't make your commitment, hopefully somebody else will fill in. But the key is the park. What park?
It looks like 2 people signed up for each though, right?
Yeah, 1 or 2 or 3.
So if one can't make it.
Yeah. So that's all.
Okay. Movies in the park, Tim.
Well, thanks to Karen's help, I finally made contact with the Vogue. The Vogue is really excited about movies in the park. They're totally on board.
Wow, cool.
They think it's one of the coolest ideas ever. They were concerned about price. They're like, we don't have anything to be able to do it. And I said, all I need from you is your licensing to be able to do it, and then their expertise. And so they're doing all their checkings on what's required and what they can do, and they'll do movie suggestions. And then I have a big inflatable screen that I bought. I honestly think it's going to be more it's going to need to be more professional if we're going to get larger. So I'm thinking somehow a white screen that's set up like a stage, that would be an easy setup, easy takedown. But I told them I would help work with them on that, and they're going to come to our April meeting. So hopefully they'll have some more information for us about what they can do. And then I'm also trying to work with Century 21, starting to get sponsors. They do work already at the Vogue, so start work with those people. But it's exciting to see that the Vogue is interested in doing it. They were all on board. So we'll talk with probably, and we'll have more answers in April for that. So we're only talking 1 movie a month, in the summer. It's not every single weekend. We'll pick a park. Obviously some parks would be better than others. Beach would be awesome, but it all depends upon wind and conditions. I think if we're going to be a success, we got to start out with some of the smaller parks first. But we'll kind of get that agenda going. But the main part they were concerned about is just the expense to get it going. But I think once we get the approvals, then we can start working all that stuff. But you got to have the right sound system, and there's a lot to it to make it work well. So it's like, we'll see where this all goes. But hopefully we'll be able to get it up and running this summer. Yeah.
Is there any data on like what type of sound do you need that will carry the distance
Right.
you need it to outdoors?
Yeah, there's places that you can rent to do that kind of stuff that come in and set up, but I think once we find out what the Vogue requires and what they suggest, then we can start going into projected costs and kind of go from there. Hopefully, they'll be all sponsored. It won't be a money issue, to be quite honest with you. So
The Ramsdale Theater used to have a portable system that we would use for like ribbon cuttings and stuff. So we could check with that and see if they have something. And we may need something for our disc golf grand opening. And also that week we're doing a ribbon cutting for the treatment plant expansion. So we're gonna have, we'll have a whole setup with sound and tables, and we can keep that and then just redeploy it for the disc golf too.
well, they do the 4th of July thing over there at the Lions Pavilion. They use some. Do you know what company they use for their whole setup, the stage, and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that's big time money.
Is it really?
Yeah, well, when I used to chair Aquapalooza, that was $3,000 to $4,000, well, probably $4,000 for the stage.
Yeah, because obviously we just need a screen.
Yeah, it was over $1,000 just for the sound production people. Yeah, but it just depends on what you need. During Sleigh Bell, when we did the tree lighting, I think that whole sound system, which was very elaborate, was from the Tabernacle. So there's some, there's a few options that I think could work out.
Yeah, we need the blessings of the Vogue to make it happen to begin with. So once we get their blessing and they got the licensing and they can do it, then I can start working on
Sure.
logistics as far as getting but I want to do it right. You got to be able to hear it. The quality's got to be good. I mean, and I think this is pretty much a donated thing. Is like hopefully people won't have to pay to come. It's just kind of open up for the families to enjoy the park. So I look forward to our meeting with them in April. We should be moving forward after we hear from them. So good.
Great, awesome. Thank you, Tim. Next up is budget. We still haven't met on the budget, so I'm not.
Yeah, there's nothing to report.
No, we need to do that.
So just so you're aware, all the department heads have submitted their budgets. We went through our budget workshop this week. So now the final touches are going on the manager's budget before it gets submitted to council. It does include a few new items so far. One would be a third parks employee and some additional funds to support that with new maintenance and new projects. And then there's also a line item that was included, I think it's at $7,500 to support volunteer efforts. So again, that's the way it happens is every department head submits their budget requests. Then we've worked together as a whole group to balance all the budgets. And then the manager makes his recommendation to council. Council spends several weeks reviewing before they adopt it early in May.
So, Lainey, we're gonna do something.
I don't think there's anything,
In addition to.
yeah, it's gonna be up to Bill next. He's gonna fine tune it.
Well, there are public,
I guess, wouldn't there be a time the council's addressing the parks section, and maybe we should attend that meeting?
so the process is the city manager will do he will present the budget, and there's no action taken at that meeting. Then there are a series of work sessions that are set, and the council usually doesn't go through it in order, but each council person will have a number of questions, suggestions, maybe objections. But there's also a public hearing on the budget as well. And it never hurts for council to hear your support of some of those initiatives and, capital improvement things. And
So you'll let us know when that part's coming up?
there's a budget calendar, so I'll have Katie email it to you.
Okay, that'll work.
Okay?
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, on to item 7. Make sure we updates on grants. Jeff, would you take the Minger?
So we have 2 active Minger ones right now. One is disc golf, and the other is for the 4 playgrounds. I will tell you, I think it was as early or as soon as last month's meeting, I was pretty darn concerned with the prices that we were getting on the equipment. Those have reversed. So when I was taking all of Sinclair's current pricing and matching them up to what we budgeted, we are literally within $10, $50 below what we had budgeted on every item.
Wow.
So I'm extremely relieved by that. And even when Tom and I were talking last week, he said, man, if you can get me 4 benches, I've heard you talk to the commission and say that the prices have gone up. And I said, no, they actually came back down. We can do the 6 that we planned on. So so far we haven't had to cut anything out because we're in really good shape with those. As part of the city's obligation, I do quarterly reports to the foundation to let them know what expenditures we've had and how the projects are progressing. And we absolutely want to make sure they get invited to our ribbon cutting. That'll help us a lot. Well, I think that the prices went up when the supply chains were disrupted. So now that things are coming back in line, I think that now some of those prices are settling down. And we're seeing that in some locations, but not everywhere. But thankfully, the playground equipment is one of them. And the other grant that we have is the EDA grant for the Riverwalk. So I know the city manager's finalizing the contract with the engineering firm, and we'll get them going on it that very soon. And then construction has to begin by September 5th per the EDA agreement. But when we interviewed the engineers, actually, what they planned was a lot of the board replacements and stuff on the Riverwalk itself that could become kind of a hindrance to pedestrian traffic. They would schedule that with a contractor for late fall, early winter, early spring, so that it doesn't become a big disruption. So there's some elements that can be built during the summer that's not going to bother anybody, and some of those more sensitive things will be done in the off season.
Next is new business, marina improvements. I'm still soliciting donations. I've got almost 5,000, but I've got a lot of promised donations that I just have to go pick up. I'm having to go back to businesses over and over again because they're not there, or they don't have the checkbook, or whatever, so it's been a very time-consuming.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah, it's been a very time-consuming process, but I cannot believe how generous the merchants have been. It's amazing. So as soon as we get what we need, we can start talking to you about what we would like to order for the clubhouse. And the public restrooms at the Marina Building look great. They were deep cleaned and painted, freshly painted. I talked to Katie today about a couple of things that we wish could be done yet. And again, as soon as we get the money, we can. Oh, Jeff, is there any money in the budget for the restrooms, at least for cleaners, lighting, anything like that? I mean, the decals are cheap. Is there any room in the budget for that?
We don't, well, in the current budget,
Yeah.
Usually in April is when as part of the budget process, I also have to project how the current budget's going to end up. And when I get to April, we basically have April, May, June left. So this was interesting. I was just telling the department heads this week, I managed 18 different budgets, and I have to treat each one differently. On the water and sewer, we actually put extra money in case things happen, and if I don't have to spend it, I don't spend it. And then that goes into the reserves, and we get to spend that on a project, right? Parks, I try to spend every dime. That's not one that I want to come under budget because we have so many needs. So usually in mid-April, I go through them and I'll pull Mickey in and say, you've got $2,000 here, to do with what you need to do, or we've been holding off on this, there's money here to get that. So within the next few weeks, I'd feel more comfortable. And, but I don't think those are huge ticket items, right?
Well, I bet it would end up being about 2,000. If you're looking at commercial grade lighting.
Yeah.
And the meters that don't shatter, right? Isn't that what we were talking about?
Right.
Yeah, so those are going to be a little more.
Yeah, I mean, like you need prison grade basketball hoops, we need prison grade bathrooms, especially the ones downtown. They get, how often do they get vandalized? Twice a month?
This week?
We're talking about this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot, unfortunately.
They've been vandalized this week? Or you were?
Last week. I just, managed to go, yeah.
It's constant.
Got a broken mirror, goodies, maybe changing station was broken, I got a new one.
Yeah, and those are $400.
So we're trying to make things look nice.
But at a minimum, if council does approve that volunteer budget, that's something that could easily come out of that July 1st.
Yeah, except we've got all kinds of things that are in the works that, we don't know how much is going to be free. And, I mean, there's a lot of cool donations coming in, but, we've got to make sure we have money.
Yeah. Well, budget-wise, I actually think that all the volunteer work that's been going on, all the involvement that the Parks Commission's having, it's helping me ask for more funding, and I'm getting more support for that. So I think it's kind of all working together well.
Great. Good. That's wonderful. Porta Johns, any updates on that? I'm not sure what yes?
I'm going to let Mickey give you the good news.
You haven't been around, they were placed 2 weeks ago down at the beach.
I know
All gray.
this. I know this.
right.
Brand new gray
Brand
ones.
new.
You just made Kelly really happy.
No, Liz too. Liz is
Our vendor has been very good to us, and he went out and purchased brand new ones to place in these areas.
I don't think are they gray, they're brand new.
Yeah.
Well-
Yeah, correct, yeah.
But see, to me, that's one of those things, what's the harm in asking? So you guys requested it, Mickey went to him and said, can we get consistent colors? And, well, what color are you looking for? Gray. Well, I'm getting new ones. I can get them in gray. Okay, then put them at our beaches. And so,
Nice.
step in the right direction.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
You're gonna put one back down at 9th Street?
Mickey,
Sorry?
did you talk to him about 9th Street?
No.
Kinda, but I also, when we talked about, we were gonna read about that, so I guess I didn't get an answer.
We,
You just said no.
yeah, if you remember the last thing was,
Yeah.
can you switch out the stuff with the graffiti on it? And he said, I'll put one down there if you guys put a light above it. And then 2 days later, they burnt the existing one down. And he said, no deal, I'm not putting it down there even with a light. So we'll have to take his temperature again.
It's on the agenda, it says bathrooms painted near the marina. Does anybody know what that is? I don't know what it is either.
I think it was a duplicate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Okay. Man, we got through all that. So, does anybody else have any comments? John, do you have some comments?
Well, good meeting.
I would just like the Lions Pavilion. I don't want to lose track of this, the money that's being generated from the Lions Pavilion, so we can talk about future improvements that we want to gear towards that. Your thoughts on that? I mean, I know we generated over $4,000 last year. Who knows? I think we're going to continue to get more.
I just asked the Laura Lorraine downstairs, I think she's the deputy clerk, and how the reservations were going. Because right now, remember, the window is for city residents only. And she said people are calling, and it's way above the pace of last year. I'm actually shocked at how well this is working out. I thought people would resist it, but it seems like it's going really well.
I think initially they did, because no one likes the thought about paying for something that was free.
Right.
But I think it's important that we show that the money that's being generated is going towards improvements of that building, which is what we promoted. But I just think somehow I don't want to lose that.
So if you guys happen to notice on your way in, that's a fire pit that's outside of City Hall. We placed it there just so you guys could see it. And the city manager literally went online and showed me a picture of a big fire pit. And he said, I think it'd be cool to put some of these in Manistee. So I went to our welder fabricator and said, could you build something like that? And he hemmed and hawed, and we talked about it for 2 days, and he started cutting and welding, and he built that in-house. So I think there's a lot of cool places that could go. But I think the Lions area would be a really neat place with the Adirondack chairs, and maybe build a pad around, a pad to set it on, let people bring their chairs. It's kind of a private, quiet place that's not by the beach, it's away from the hotel. So that could be one suggestion. But I think, I told Tanner, now he only worked on this in his spare time when he wasn't doing other things. So I told him to go ahead and start another one. My vision is when we get the ice rink open in the wintertime, we set it by the ice rink. And I bought 5 4x4 wire baskets, and we already split wood and have them filled with dry wood. So we could set them out there. I mean, the ice skating season is only 2 to 3 weeks long, but we could set it out there and let families and kids enjoy that. I think when we light the Christmas tree, we could set it down in the street and let the community sit under the, next to the Christmas tree and enjoy that. We're looking for a place on the Riverwalk. It's been suggested maybe in the art park would be a cool place for something like that. I think over by the Rotary gazebo at First Street, which is across from the dog park, could be a cool little place there. So I think there's a lot of opportunities to kind of make those neat experiences.
Can we be assured that the money that's being generated there is set aside for us to be able to do those improvements with you guys?
Well, I think that since we're in the budget session, or part of our business, if you will, I think it would be really good for you guys to propose how that money should be spent this year. And, if you guys come to an agreement on that we submit it to the city manager, and it just becomes part of our budget approval process.
One thing that needs to be done is the underside of the cabanas, those need fresh paint.
Right. Well, that's what all that money was being generated for, was improvements. I just don't want to lose track of it. I know it goes into the general fund.
Yeah, and if you don't have a specific use for it, then request that it be escrowed and compounded,
We go to that. Do we go to Bill with an email saying, hey, we just make sure that the money we generated in 2022 is going to be there for us to use in 2023? I mean, or do we go before the city council?
I think if you either ask for a specific expenditure or ask for it to be escrowed, I think it would be appropriate to send that to the city manager.
And does it have to go directly back into the Lions Pavilion, or could it be?
Well, my only comment on that is that's why we started charging.
Well, or could it be allocated?
So, and then we did talk about,
When we talked about using that money for volunteer support, that was one of the items we did during the council budget priority work session. I got the pretty strong feeling they wanted it to stay there.
At the Lions Pavilion?
Yes.
What about, we were talking about getting bathrooms down near the Lions Pavilion instead
Yep.
of, is that something that could be applied towards?
Absolutely. And those bathrooms are going to end up being $350,000. So we're going to have to apply for a grant for sure, maybe 2. Maybe it's a DNR recreation grant and Part Minger, but there's going to need to be general fund dollars allocated towards that.
So we could escrow that for that amount.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So that's, we all agree, would be a good use. So,
And it doesn't mean that you can't build that up and then say, but we also need to do this and
Yeah.
take some of it away. But
Right.
but that would be a good use of it.
so I would like to make a motion that any funds generated to Lions Pavilion rentals would be escrowed for a potential grant match for bathrooms.
It's a little restrictive.
Yes, it is.
I just think I would like to see it escrow for Parks Commission use.
Well,
At the Lions Pavilion?
Yes, at the Lions Pavilion.
Okay,
I would suggest the wording be to use for future capital improvements.
okay. that
Then it's
sounds good.
not restrictive
Yeah,
At the Lions Pavilion.
at the Lions Pavilion.
okay.
Okay, and then we follow up with an email to Bill?
Well, somebody seconds it.
Yeah, I'll second that. I'll second that.
And then maybe,
Do we have to vote?
yes.
They're ready to vote. Did you get the motion?
Yeah.
Katie was supposed to.
I just want to make sure we don't lose it because it could happen. So we worked hard for that. And you got to keep in mind, the Lions Pavilion was a catalyst for other areas too that we're talking about doing rentals too. You know, Fifth
Yeah.
Avenue Beach, the band pavilions. I mean, there's a lot of potential, a lot of potential. And if it all comes back to the park, then we got a budget to start working with, you know, start making our improvements. So that would be nice. I just went by the basketball courts. Are those projected?
You need to vote on that motion.
We need to vote.
And then I have an update that's partly tied to the Lions Pavilion after your vote.
Okay.
I vote yes.
I thought Katie called her
I
name.
can count.
Oh, you're gonna do a voice? Okay.
Sure. Karen Mao,
Aye. Yes. Yes.
Laney Rosca,
Yes.
Tim O'Connor,
Yes.
and Kelly Greavy,
Yes.
John Beach.
Yes.
So if I can just give you one update, I was going to give it later, but it's kind of tied to the Lions a little bit. We have bid out the repaving of the beach loop at First Street.
I saw that.
We received one bid from Elmer's. It was within $10,000-$15,000 of what our engineer's estimate is. And so I got that on next Tuesday's council agenda. Like I said, it's a big agenda. But if council approves and awards that contract, then construction will likely begin in April as soon as the frost laws come up. And if you guys have worked with Elmer's, they're going to come in here and bang that out. But a couple new elements that I included in that project is a walkway from the big parking lot, a sidewalk going from that across the road and to the parking lot into the Lions. So it lines straight up with the sidewalk that goes from the parking lot right at the Lions into the pavilion. Now that sidewalk will extend all the way into the large parking lot. I've always thought that was an important thing.
They just climb the hill anyways, right? I mean.
Yeah, but-
Yeah.
so-
But there's no really good walkway.
Yeah, people just use the grass, but to me, that just kind of makes and I think we made it 8 foot wide or 6 foot wide at least, so it's a fairly big one. The other thing is, when you go into the Lions parking lot, and it's kind of that arcing, when you leave there, we're putting a curb cut right from that parking lot into the big parking lot. So, I always felt like that large parking lot is so underutilized. And when we negotiated to put a curb cut in for the Hampton Inn, now you can go to the beach, pull right into that parking lot, walk across the street, and you're there. You know, there's 1,000 spaces or 600 spaces there that people don't use because there just isn't the easy pathway. So I think that curb cut will help. I think this one will help at the Lions area. And today there's only 2 ways in and out, and it's on either side of the fish cleaning station. By Memorial Day, we'll have 4.
Cool.
So,
Nice.
So many cool things happening.
yeah. And one of the things that was also negotiated with the whole hotel construction is they're paying for a net increase of 28 spaces. So, so we had parallel parking striped. There will now be angled parking in some of those areas, and we can get 2 angled spaces per 1 parallel space. So there's 28 new spaces there. And then some of the areas where the pavement is already really wide, we're going to reduce the drive lane down to a 12-foot drive lane through the beach, which is normal, and expand the angle parking. So I think we're going to net about 45 new spaces down there with this project. And then the decorative lighting that is on First Street, pretty much from the Armory all the way to the west end, the gray lights, we're also going to put those on the beach loop south of First Street in front of the hotel and going all the way down to where the dumpster corrals are, across the street from it. So we're going to start improving some of that lighting. And then your smiles distracted me. There was one other element we were improving there. The lower parking lot will actually get raised slightly and repaved to make it easier to get in and out of. We're going to curb pretty much from where the lower parking lot is. Right now, it's just sand right up to the road. And when we get a heavy rain, it washes it out all the time. So we're gonna put some curbing in there to control the stormwater. When you go south of First Street, in front of where the hotel is, there'll be curbing on both sides there, and the hotel's building a sidewalk along that stretch. So I wanted to make sure people weren't parking there, because I want that just to be a throughway and make it safer for pedestrians.
You know where that gate is in the big parking lot? There's like a gate that's kind of falling over. I think it looked like it was
Yeah,
way out.
that protects the stormwater outfall.
Oh, okay.
So that's getting redone too. Yeah.
Nice. I went over to the Lions Pavilion just to check it out the other day, and people are already posting stick-it notes on the board.
Is it not online?
Yeah, and the reason being because there's nothing on the board anymore. Whatever used to be on there, giving
Oh.
people. I know when you walk to the Lions Pavilion, there's that glass case.
Yeah.
First of all, can we put a lock on that so people don't post things inside that one?
That is locked, isn't it?
No.
No.
So we can lock that, and we could put a sign on the inner bulletin board.
Yeah, it just needs to be a laminated.
Yep.
The proper, because it's already
We
going
make-
to start to be a problem. But my
Make a note
question
of
is,
that.
can they put a glass case inside the Lions Pavilion with like what we have on the outside?
We could.
It just would make sense because to post it and then have the rules up there, not only on the entrance, but also inside the Lions Pavilion, I think would be,
I would add that to your request for those escrowed funds to purchase a case for inside.
okay. We talked about going digital, but,
Yeah, I don't know if we're there yet, but yeah, we can do that.
okay. I just think that would be a nice touch. I mean, I kind of cleaned things up a little bit, just took some things, rearranged the board when you go inside, but someone's going to come in there and do it again, just, it's nice and organized.
Yeah, we just need a clean sign that says, this site is this site is available for reservations, contact and give the information.
So is there a reason why we can't do online reservations? I mean, my goodness, it's 2023.
We're not there yet. I know.
When the city manager presented it to council, the discussion was, let's make sure we walk really well before we run. I think our first year, we had a really good year, probably need to do a second year, and then I think we can look into, and quite frankly, you could spend the money on that. Because that was the big thing. They didn't want to invest the money in the software for it to be a one-time thing.
Yeah, I think you almost need to form a little subcommittee with the Lions Pavilion just to make sure that we're on top of that, and that's being progressive,
Yeah.
which is where we want to go anyway. You should be able to go online and reserve it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, my vision was always, in that glass case, actually put a screen so that you could see when it was rented this week and see right then. But
So, yeah, we'll put that on the next agenda and talk about that. I think that's a good idea.
The only thing, the basketball rooms at the park, are those being replaced this spring?
the what?
The basketball rims?
Two of them are. Two of them are part of the equipment purchase through the Minger grant.
Okay.
We had two new ones at Morton, and then the two north-south ones we're planning to replace. And then Mickey and I talked, when we replace those, we'll take the two down, obviously, and then we can rearrange, use some of the parts.
And then the only other thing I got is, obviously, you're all aware that we had the privilege of watching Kelly receive the Community Service Award for Manistee Proud last weekend, which was completely awesome. A good event. She's a good representation from our Parks Commission and justly deserved that award. So she's very modest. She doesn't take credit for it, but it does take a leader to be able to spearhead that and push it. And I couldn't be more proud of this girl right here. So very, very well. Very cool party. Did you see the pictures? Yeah, on Facebook. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, kind of staying with that, I mean, that's a pretty prestigious community award. The Parks Department received the Shadle Award from the MRA. We actually got a letter today from Senator Peters congratulating the city on receiving that. And then we are also being granted an award for Project of the Year from the Michigan chapter of the American Public Works Association for the beach, the shoreline protection and Riverwalk reconstruction down at First Street.
Nice.
So we'll be receiving that in May at their annual conference.
Making
And
it
then,
happen.
yeah, and then that actually goes into the national award as a nominee.
Just so many efforts. It's just, I couldn't be more proud of this commission. So we're doing a really good job.
And
So,
almost everybody was there, so it was
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, it was very nice. So I'm all set.
Karen?
Happened to drive by Sands Park this afternoon, and it was 4 teenagers playing tennis on the courts. So, and I was talking to Sheila over at the rec center, and she said that they don't care what the condition is, they just want to play something.
Yeah.
So, they're still interested.
So, so I budgeted money to tear them out. And like I mentioned,
Sands Park.
like I mentioned to you last month, specifically the mayor, but city council would really like the Parks Commission's opinion on short-term use, long-term use. And next Thursday, the Sands Park Control Board is meeting. So that is representatives from the school and the city who determine what that park's going to do or have. They're meeting, and that's one of the main items to discuss.
When is that?
Next Thursday at 4 o'clock.
Here?
Yes.
Sure.
So if you have any suggestions, it'd be wonderful to be able to take those to that meeting.
Well, on a slightly different note, but still Sands Park, I actually was talking to Sheila and asked if she could get me data on how many days a year the ice skating rink is usable. And she said this year's 4 days. So she's gonna go back and find the data from past years and find out how many usable days there were, and
I bet the record will be 18, 21 right in there, would be the record. It's too bad we can't have that longer.
I know, and that's why I wanted the data, because I wanted to know, is there an interest for trying to do something that we could have open
Sure.
earlier, like during the Victorian Sleigh Ball Parade and over the holidays, something
Is
maybe.
there some sort of material that it doesn't take water? My son is telling me about this.
Yes.
It's glycol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a refrigerant. Basically, if you go up to Crystal
Two
Mountain,
companies already and got data from them on the cost, and it is very high.
Yeah.
It depends on.
if you go up to like Crystal Mountain, they set theirs up late November, but they put down refrigerated pads, and then they've got a compressor that puts the refrigerant through it and then chills it. And so regardless of what the weather's doing, they can make ice. And for us to have any longevity to that rink, we'd have to do something like that.
Right.
And I can tell you, one of the 4 major categories of the Minger grant is winter activities. So I know that we could put a really compelling application together for that.
Limit, would that hardly make it that time, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know what the prices are, but maybe you ask for a 2-year commitment, something like that.
It depends whether you rent them or whether you purchase it. I
Oh.
talked to 2 different representatives at 2 different companies, and the price is very high. It was in the $300,000 to $400,000 range.
Sure.
Depending on if you buy or you rent, but,
Yeah, and there's compressors, and it's a big operation. I have a picture of when they were actually setting up the Crystal Mountain one a couple years ago, because I'm a nerd like that, but if I find them, I can send them around to you.
One place I lived, they wanted a rink, but it was a dual purpose thing, and it was big and it was round. So in the winter, it was an ice skating rink, in the summer, it was a splash pad.
They have something like that in Ludington and in Cadillac, and it's like a. Do you remember the?
Polymer.
Yeah, it's a slippery polymer material, but I haven't. It's not ice. It's just a real slippery material, but I've heard that it's not
The stuff I
great.
researched, I'm sorry, Jeff, if you don't mind, it's a polymer, and if you have the right conditions, you can actually add water to it and you'll have ice on top of this polymer, but of course when it melts, you can still skate on it. I done a quick run around it. The cost, our ice rink is 150 feet by 100 feet, so it's 50,000 square feet, and to have that with this composite, you were looking at, they had price ranges from each panel would cost between $8 and $20 odd dollars, so it ended up being either somewhere between $250,000 and $360,000 to have the same thing for what we got right now. So it's the same, it's as expensive as the light bulb, you know, so it's a big chunk.
That's all. No, that was it.
Laney?
I don't know.
Mother? Pump?
Sure.
Are we scheduled to have the trees trimmed in the marina?
Yes.
Trees, I thought we did completed all that last year.
Oh, there's a ton of stuff that still needs to be trimmed. I saw that a couple of trees were, well, one tree was taken down.
Yeah, the city manager went through that with us. I thought we were done. If there's more, then I would want to do that right now.
Yeah, there's a lot. You want to go for a walk?
Yeah.
Okay, just tell me when.
Yeah, probably Brandon and I will meet with you.
Okay, and then the restroom doors on the marina, the public restrooms, are those going to be painted?
We're going to paint them, but we're going to wait till it gets a little bit warmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the one that's real heavy, is that going to be repaired or replaced or?
Yeah, we're, like we spoke when you and Liz were there about this same subject, yeah, we are repairing that. Since it's all locked up right now, we have to wait for warmer weather to paint the outside. What eventually is gonna happen is, we're gonna have to like shut down the ladies today, so we can deal with this, so the gentlemen can use it. Then the next day, like I said before, then we'll do the opposite with gentlemen. So we're still waiting on the decorative trim to come in, our maintenance, facility manager, Mark, he has it on order, we're just waiting for that. So, yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else? That was it.
I had one more item. The North River Walk, we are making our third attempt for a DNR grant. We have a couple different things that we've done to enhance our application. One is when you had the history of the Manistee parks, and I saw some of the information. It's called Memorial Park. We have a lot of memorial stuff there, but I think it was really compelling when Mr. Federer was talking about how the local people were working on it and then had to suspend work to go to the war and then came back. And so we kind of sweetened up our heartstrings story with that. We also upped the city's match money. We were at 46% with what we had programmed. We upped it to 50. That'll get us another, I think, 15 points. So the resolution to submit that is going before City Council next Tuesday. Yeah, we've been doing a lot of writing, but a lot of really positive things. So I just want to let you know, I think third time's the charm. We also plan, Sean and Mr. Gamble and I are going to drive to Lansing and present our project before the commission. Our consultant said that usually will guarantee funding. So
When does that happen?
I think it's in February, because we tried to do it this year and there were some other things that were going on that we could not be out of town for. So
one of the projects for the volunteers was going to be to go and clean up the North River Walk. Should we still,
yeah, because even if we get the money awarded,
in 2 years?
yeah, the construction won't happen until next year anyway. So
Okay. And the JCs are going to be doing the band shell.
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, the
Yep.
original JCs. Okay, anything else from anybody else? All right. I guess what do we do here? We
Motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.